Yeah.
Whenever I got to say something.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Right.
Go ahead.
She kept after me.
Go ahead.
Me- Meeting will come to order, please. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been satisfied. Would you please turn off all electronic equipment as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Johanna, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
I am here.
On the agenda for items to be discussed are the introduction of ordinance 29-2018. We have with us today Ms. McCrossin, who will explain to us what is happening here.
Mayor and Commissioners, it's nice to be here with you.
It's on.
This ordinance would reconsider and reaffirm the transaction that was approved by ordinance 18-2018. But I would ask you to consider the transaction with fresh eyes, as if that ordinance had not been adopted, and consider whether you still think that this is the transaction that's in the best interest of the taxpayers. After ordinance 18-2018 was filed, there was a challenge filed in court. And among the allegations in that litigation are procedural allegations, which could be cured by the proper enactment of this ordinance. In my view, there was nothing improper about the enactment of the prior ordinance, but by addressing the plaintiff's concerns, valid or invalid, it is my hope to narrow the issues in that litigation and make it a simpler case. So this ordinance is before you, and if you adopt this after the public hearing and after it is properly published, this ordinance would reaffirm that transaction regarding the city's conveyance of a portion of Block 528, Lot 2.03, to Barbary Coast LLC. Barbary Coast LLC has already performed the work which forms the consideration for that transaction, which is a replacement of a piece of the bulkhead along Amherst Avenue. I would ask you to consider this transaction without considering that that work has already been done. Would you approve this transaction? Do you think that transaction is in the best interest of the taxpayers, even in the absence of that work having been done? So I'm asking you to look at the transaction with fresh eyes, see if you would approve the contract, and you still think that that is a good transaction and in the best interest of the taxpayers. And it would be helpful to the legal proceeding if you had put on this record, either now or in the formal meeting, why you believe this transaction is in the best interest of the taxpayers.
Mayor, through the chair, may I comment, please?
May.
Thank you. Ms. McCrossin, I first want to thank you after reading the ordinance that you prepared for us this evening of all your work was certainly right on target. And I totally agree with the fact that if we go back to the time of the register of the quick deed that came to the city back in April of 2017, which was the 9401 LLC conveyed that 175-foot by 25-foot property known as Block 528, Lot 203, back to the city, not back to the city, to the city, because the prior owner before 9401 LLC was the famous Integrity Marina through the 60s and 70s, which was a marina that not only housed a lot of boats, but they had a sales team there selling sport fishing boats and yachts for many years. which they own those parcels, and we have evidence in our possession that those parking spaces were private because it designated as private parking spaces. We were fortunate through the second owner to receive those spots back to the city, and for the public good to know that we are redeveloping that dilapidated, deplorable area of the southern part of Margate City, known as our Bay Area, and upgrading it to convey 7 spots and include a handicap spot, which doesn't exist as we sit there now, back to the new owner in exchange for the improvements. We are bettering the conditions of the city. Now, the city has worked very diligently, this commission, we try to, at all times, try to satisfy the needs of our business community and understand the importance of our business community. They're a vital part, they're the fabric of our community, to help them with parking. And we understand that. We're a short town. We have a 10-week season. Our business, they have to survive in that 10-week season. But our visitors are here for those 10 weeks, and we have limited space, and our property values are very high, and to achieve additional parking spaces is very difficult. I understand that. The city has worked diligently, and we recently signed an agreement, which I like to consider a public-private partnership with a private property owner, that on the south side of the Amherst Avenue section, we just secured 24 parking spaces for public use, 12 months of the year, from the hours of 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the evening. So, as you know, as a part of this project, this helps us in the big picture. Sorry. Because we're always looking to satisfy needs for parking. But the benefit the city has to redefine our bayfront from recommendations of our master plan, which was recently enacted, we're going to have a promenade along the bayfront. There's a lot of activity there, and this is a win-win situation for the city. And again, I thank you for your diligent work and the beautiful job you did on ordinance number 20, it's number 29 of 2018, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mari, anyone else? You have any questions for us? Does anyone have any questions for Ms. McCrossin?
I have nothing further, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We will now go to department head reports. Danny, why don't you start?
All right, Mayor, thank you. Just pretty much, the fire department continues to be, busy. When I say busy, the call volume is up over 200 incident responses year to date over 2017, which not, we looked at this before, and Rich had asked me, and I really didn't have a direct answer other than the number of fire alarm systems in the buildings in town and the difference in calls. But 200 over last year is pretty substantial. Special note, we had a fire on Sunday, November 25th at approximately 8:25 a.m. And the reason I want to make note of this, because it made our paper and the Down Beach Pilot and many other different news resources and radios, was the fire was reported by 5-year-old Lily Blecker, who noticed smoke coming from the neighbor's house. She alerted her parents and grandmother immediately, who they verified that the fire was occurring and called 911. And pretty much to me, if it wasn't for her actions, that fire would have been a lot worse. And the situation would have been a lot worse, because that day the wind was coming out of the southeast right along the ocean, and it was on the ocean side of the building where the fire occurred. And Commissioner Amadeo and I have talked about this, and maybe we can do something at a later date for Ms. Blecker when she's in town, but I think that would be a pretty good thing. Which leads me into one last final note, and that is a reminder to all residents, especially with the winter and the holiday season. They're using additional lighting for holiday lighting displays and that. is to make sure they check their outside electrical outlets, equipment, and lighting fixtures, and this should probably be done, and Jim, I don't wanna, overstep, but it probably should be done by a licensed electrical contractor, because this fire, and it's public record, it's the same exact fire we had, it's almost 7 years to the date, at the same location, caused by the same exact thing. And it was a shorted out electrical outlet that was on the ocean side of the property. So I can't stress it enough to our residents and visitors and that, to please check your electrical outlets and make sure that everything is safe so we don't have a potential problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Lisa?
Hello. The only thing I want to mention is I was informed that the state health benefits is going to be conducting an audit for dependent eligibility. They contracted with a firm called Alight, who will be performing the audit and who will be contacting any individuals insured through state health benefits. And each employee will be responsible for providing the proper documentation for proof of their dependents. And if there are any dependents currently covered, which I am not aware of any, I try to be, stay on top of that as best as I can, they will be terminated from the coverage. So that is forthcoming. They did this, an audit, the last one was done, I believe, in 2010 or 2011. I'm still working on the budget, and all the salary schedules for 2019. Hopefully, I will have a draft of the budget at some point this year, trying to get everything prepared to close out 2018. And I'd like to just stress again with all department heads to please have everything encumbered that has been purchased. As many times as I say it, I came across something else a little while ago that has not. So please make sure if somebody is purchasing something that it's encumbered prior to authorizing it. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Rich?
I have an item here that has been on my desk or Fred's desk, mostly my desk, for a couple of months. It wasn't an urgent item, and I still don't think it's an urgent item. However, I need to get back to Verizon Wireless. Verizon Wireless has hired a company to help them renegotiate leases for the facilities across America, at least certain of their facilities. They say we're one of 3,500 sites out of 90,000 sites that have been chosen, and they indicate that because the market is changing to incorporate small cells, they need new towers across the country. And in order to do that, they're evaluating all their existing locations, and we have a contract with them at $3,000 a year with perhaps some escalation clauses in it over time. And they want to reduce the amount per year for that contract from about $3,000 to about $2,500 a month. I'm sorry, I said a year, per month. Why would we do that? The only reason to do it would be to increase the number of years we'd be in the contract. They're willing to negotiate. They hire these people to negotiate, to call us every week and want to know what our status is with regard to this. I'll send you more data by email on this, and I'd like you to ponder it and think about it. I've talked to Fred, and Fred's talked to me, and I think we have mixed feelings about the benefits of it. My other concern, and I haven't gotten a satisfactory answer, is the whole legality of what they're asking us to do. And I've asked them to look into it from their standpoint in terms of the length of the lease. We have laws in the state that limit us to the length of our agreements with people. And I don't need to do all the research on this. I've asked them to try to do some research as it relates to New Jersey law. And I'd also like to suggest to you that why should we necessarily be the guinea pig in New Jersey, and that I'd like to see some other agreements and what their amounts might be. But I'm not the expert in this area, and I will pass some of this information along to you by email and ask you to consider it and have our solicitor weigh in as he determines he would like to do. So I just wanted to bring it up publicly here and let you know that they're pressing us to have a solution by the end of the year. My guess is that the woman who talks to us, her contract runs out at the end of the year, because we've had this situation occur in the past, and but it's really a decision the commission is not, I don't want to just be holding it any longer. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. You have anything else?
I don't believe I do. Everything else is on the agenda unless there's any questions from you.
Mayor, if I could, I'd like to just dovetail in on
You
what the
may.
city administrator said. Bearing in mind, of course, that tonight we have on the agenda a resolution to award Selco, which is Verizon, the right to add additional, what are they called, CADs? C-A-D? Nodes, I'm sorry. They're called nodes. And meanwhile, they're pressuring us to lower the lease amount for their cell towers while they're pressuring us to have this resolution passed to authorize their contract. Maybe we ought to put the two together when we sit down with them. I'm just a thought. I don't, comment on it? I appreciate your input on that. How do you feel about that?
Pretty good.
I'm happy that you do feel good, because I do too. So,
No, again, when they come in for the nodes and the applications, there is a fee attached to that, so for every
Just-
application that comes in,
the-
we'll be getting something back, but
I think every week we get pushed for this adoption of this resolution.
The good thing about that resolution, assuming you've looked at it as more carefully than I, is that we spent a lot of time, you spent a lot of time
Yes.
earlier this year in developing an ordinance that allowed this to take place because we had so many concerns with these nodes. And our ordinance really allows for a master agreement, and I think that's what the resolution on the next
That's
meeting
what this
is that you're
is.
talking about.
Right.
Once they have the master agreement, which we would want to do a master agreement with Verizon, because the services they're gonna provide to our public, if we don't do it, the public's gonna be without the service that they want for internet, especially in the summertime. So there is a need, and the master agreement would be according to everything we studied with our consultants and everything else.
We have an ordinance. in
And
control.
then they have to go back to the planning board and/or the zoning officer and get permission for site-specific locations, which are limited by the master agreement and described in the master agreement. So I think your point is your original point is well taken, that this is all tied together in some way, and maybe we should sit down. If we're gonna sit down, we should sit down and talk about all of it. But in terms of the action that's gonna take place at 5 o'clock, it appears that that's an okay action to go forward.
Well, we hire a consultant, we pass the ordinance, we're assured that it's not exclusive to Verizon. But it does seem to me a little bit inconsistent on the one hand to get emails and phone calls every week, where is this? And on the other hand, oh, that long-standing lease that we have with you, we want to modify it, and we want to pay you less money. I have to absorb that one for a while. I don't know. What do you think?
What's your pleasure? Do you wanna
Send the letter.
have?
Have Scott send the letter.
Should we adopt a resolution tonight or pull it?
That's what I.
Well, I would say, excuse me, Mayor,
Go ahead.
my comment would be is to pull the resolution for this evening and send a letter requesting, I wouldn't ask the question why they want to lower our price, but I would say with the additional equipment, the city, and this is a part of the, what's it called, the franchise tax? The municipalities get paid for?
franchise fee.
No.
I don't know if that applies here for these nodes.
That's for cable.
Okay.
That's for Comcast.
This is
That's
for our
Com-
water
okay,
towers.
for Comcast.
that-
But I would
that
say
they're-
we would
they
look
wanna
for more
provide.
funds, not less.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
All right, let's,
Rich, why don't we talk to them one more time?
when we get
before
there,
we
we'll.
give them this.
So we get them all in the same room?
It's the same company, right? Okay.
We're gonna pull that at the next meeting.
Pull that.
Correct? Okay.
It's amazing what happens when you pull something once in a while.
Get their attention, I'm sure. Ed?
I think we covered everything during the last meeting. I will be away next week, so anything you need would
Well, think about it.
go through Eddie.
It says right.
Two Eds are better than one, as they say.
Exactly.
No, one's an A, one's an A.
Oh, Ed.
So,
Do you have anything to add, Ed?
I have nothing to add.
Roger?
Maybe I'm wrong.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. Planning and zoning, the new application and the new ordinances are working out pretty well so far. We're really streamlining the process between the construction office and zoning. We have a planning board meeting on December 20th, and believe it or not, water park is not on the agenda. Golf course is not on the agenda, and the hotel overlay is not on the agenda. So I just don't want to pull any fast ones. Just want to let everyone know. Also on tonight's hearing, for a vote on the resolutions, is the authorization agreement with Camden County Educational Services. That's just to recertify that we're a member of that co-op. And again, we have a contract with CM3 and are a member of that. Resolution 268-2018 is for the bike rack maintenance. Basically, the contract's being run through the county with federal funds. And the county sent all the municipalities that are participating in this an agreement for a hold harmless that we're going to maintain the bike racks where they're going to be, and they're washing their hands on it, which is fine. So I would recommend that be approved. And we have 3 annual maintenance contracts being out to bid this week, and hopefully we can award those at the next meeting. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Jim?
Good evening. I just want to give you a quick update on what we've done in the office, the construction office. We have 66 new construction permits out in 2018. Out of those, there were 55 demolition permits. We had 16 CO'd of those 66 projects, 50 still open. That's 50 projects under construction. It's going to be a heavy-duty fall or spring. I know that. Some of these jobs are just about halfway done, but looks like May is going to be a busy month for the realtors. I can tell you that right now. And as of October 4th, as per Roger, we had 46 zoning permits, so I think the system's working out pretty good. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. Pat?
We've been pretty busy in Public Works getting all the trucks ready for the snow, which we had to break out yesterday. Been busy working on the Lucy deck. We're about 90% complete on that. And our Public Works auction that that ended Tuesday, we had on Gov Deals. And everything sold on there, and we brought in roughly $61,000.
That's good.
That's all I got.
Thank you, Pat. Scott?
Mayor, I've had the opportunity to look at the resolutions reappointing our attorneys, including our municipal prosecutor, our special tax counsel, and some of our other attorneys, and certainly endorse and compliment all of them. They've done an excellent job, and they certainly deserve to be reappointed. As you know, in our capital portion of the meeting, we discussed the recent agreement signed yesterday, finally, with 9707 Amherst Marina LLC, which obligates a contract with the owner of Lombardi's and that marina to build over 500 feet of new bulkhead on Amherst Avenue, which is our problem area with our flooding. That bulkhead will be built to our specifications. Those designs have already been approved. There's already a DEP permit. We have, in that stretch, Commissioner Amadei, I know you're intimately involved with this, over 1,000 feet of bulkhead that must be replaced. Subcode, it's in terrible shape. It's way below an elevation. This now alleviates the city taxpayer from having to pay for that. We average, about $1,500 a foot, Ed, would you say? So we're getting well over 500 feet of new bulkhead. And as a little bit of icing on the cake, as Commissioner Amadei said, we've addressed the parking down in the Special Bayfront District. We will have an additional 24 spaces of Lombardi's out of their existing lot, but was always private. Now the public will be able to be permitted to park there during the daytime, particularly when the head boats and fishing boats are operational and that parking is needed. So this is a big accomplishment, and I want to be there when they break ground. I really want to see this thing.
It's
get
got the
built.
number, I think, the number was $866,000
Roughly,
for that bulkhead, so that we're benefiting,
that we benefit.
that we benefited, yes.
We
So
being the
we're
city.
saving $866,000.
That's fantastic. And the other item I wanted to say is compliment, I caught the city clerk had talked to me about this very last resolution, where we're asking the state of New Jersey to address the elevation of West End Avenue in Wellington. And some people might say, well, why would Margate care about West End Avenue and Wellington Avenue if that's in Ventnor? Because it's an escape route for our town. A lot of our citizens, when we get that storm warning, that people might ask, I know that we use it many times. That street does need, or that road does need to be elevated. It's time for North Jersey to say, okay, get some money down here, help us. So the resolution, I know we're working with Ventnor on this one. I don't know, anybody, other cities too? Atlantic City maybe, hopefully?
Atlantic City's involved in that too.
Yeah,
It
good.
involves possibly relocating the intercoastal waterway
Wow, that would really be something, which they should do.
and put a high span
Get
on
rid of those
Albany
drawbridges.
Avenue.
That
Right.
would eliminate a lot of that traffic time. But anyhow, that's certainly something we should adopt. That's all I have.
Thank you, Scott. Marty, you have anything?
So I just have one thing. I want to thank Pat and the Public Works team for the nice job that they've done out at the rec complex. Another year of beautiful holiday lighting, and it doesn't go unnoticed. So thanks to the team. That's all I have.
John?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I guess I need new glasses, because I still thought that was Frank sitting down at the end of the day. Because nothing changed. Everything went on.
He laughs, Frank.
So I guess we can survive. The first thing I want to mention is, I know Lisa has kept us all in the loop with the reimbursement from the state of New Jersey with the improvements that were a part of the outfall systems, the street end drainage improvements, and the raising the lifeguard station. We received, Lisa let us all know that we received the full reimbursement in the amount of $668,000, is that correct? 660, close to 668,000. We received those funds recently from the state of New Jersey, so we can close the books on all that. So that was very well done. The job was well done, and we're complete on our end. So I want to thank everybody involved with that. And I wanted to bring to the attention of Commissioner Blumberg and Mayor Becker, I'd asked Mr. Deeney to put resolution number 269 on our resolution list for this evening. It's really a feel-good resolution. It's to help our neighboring cities of Atlantic City and Ventnor on a long-time project that's been in the works with the DOT to raise the elevation of West End Avenue and Route 40, which we're all aware, for us that live here, that it floods at high tides, not even with rains, just high tides. And that is a known evacuation route, one of two evacuation routes that we would have in a state of emergency. So I received a call from the city of Atlantic City yesterday and from Ventnor. The mayor and I had both received calls from the mayor of Ventnor in reference to supporting this resolution, and it's on tonight's agenda for a vote. So that's just to bring you up to date on what it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just to digress for a minute, it's a personal thing. Great time of year, guys. It's a good time of year, 12 months a year to be in Margate. It's a great city, and how honored we all are to serve the city. It's a wonderful time. The city's in good shape. As we move on, we'll have a healthy and prosperous 2019. I just want to wish everybody Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thank you all for being part of Margate. At this point, we will open for public comment. You have 3 minutes. You can discuss anything that was discussed here today.
I'm ready.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. A question for Chief Adams. At that spike of 200, can you give us a guesstimate of the number that were involved?
Public
in-
comment, John, not questions and answers. If you-
All right,
Yeah.
I'll make it as a statement,
Thank you, John.
although I would like to know. I think that's
Sure.
something the public is entitled to know, how many Narcan runs are being made to the detriment of our senior citizens, especially the octogenarians, who might suffer cardiac arrest. And since you only have a window of 5 or 6 minutes, Mayor, you might be very much concerned if we're doing a third-time run for somebody on Narcan at the taxpayer's expense. So if he doesn't want to answer, that's all fine and dandy.
John, I'll make sure he gets you the answer.
Yes.
This is not the proper forum, as you well
Well,
know.
the point is, I am commenting on the spike of increased calls
Please do.
and its correlation.
I can answer that question for you, Mr. Sewell. As far as any of those types of calls related to that, there's no increase over 2017 on what we've done this year compared to last year regarding those type of responses. So the increase is not affected by that type of incident or call response.
It's a comforting thought. And of course, just a brief comment, and just for the record, concerning Councillor McCrossan's mentioning of work being done by the particular party, and it may be deemed or construed to be past consideration, and ergo no consideration. But that's just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comment? Is there a motion to close public comment?
So moved. So moved.
Johanna?
Who made the motion?
John made the motion.
Who seconded?
Pardon?
I didn't
Need a
hear a
second.
second.
John?
He made the motion.
Marty?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I'll second that.
There you go.
I didn't hear Commissioner Blumberg. I'll
There
second
is,
it.
there it is.
Mayor Becker,
Yes.
2 seconds.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg.
Everybody pay attention now. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Mayor Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo.
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg.
Yes.
We will take 5 minutes.